Bonjour and hello everyone. Welcome to Queer French Farmhouse, the podcast about being queer as an expat living in France and renovating a house, or in my case, half a chateau. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. And I thought today we're going to continue the podcast episode that was like 2 weeks ago, I think, renovating a house by yourself. And and all the weird enticements and all the things that just happen when you renovate a house completely on your own. So I've done wastewater piping, I've done all the water piping for hot and cold water. I did floors, literally you name it, electrics. There's nothing I didn't do in this house. It's just absolutely bonkers. And if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have never ever thought I'd be able to do any of these things. It's like I had a understanding of things, and I did kind of I was a DIY enthusiast and I always wanted to learn everything, but I didn't have the time because my job was very very time intensive, and I also didn't have a project where I could try it, It's like I was living in an apartment, and this house opened up a world of possibilities. At the same time, I knew that buying this house, it would eat up a big portion of my funds that I would then have to compensate by doing everything myself in a DIY fashion. So I just didn't have the money to go somewhere for someone to actually do it. And also, I had someone coming in, someone who does up houses, and I think he was electrics and water. And I had him come in right after we got the house and talk to him about putting more en-suites into the rooms, because basically the second floor is now used as a bed and breakfast, and the second floor has 3 guest rooms, all with ensuite bathrooms, or actually 2 with ensuites that I built in, and 1 bathroom that was already existing in the biggest room. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath a bit because I'm walking up a hill, because I thought I'd take you out on a walk again, because it's also I'm juggling lots of things at the moment, so trying to make the best of recording the podcast while on the go. And I'm also finding that walking helps me to talk and just to let my thoughts go. And I knew I needed this. The second floor in the house was basically 3 guest rooms, 1 bathroom, and quite a big hallway. So I wanted to transform it into a B&B, because with just 1 bathroom up there, it would have been inconvenient. It would have been not as nice for guests, for 6 guests to share 1 bathroom. It's just no, not possible, right? I went and talked to this guy, and he came, he assessed everything, and I already had a kind of idea where I wanted to lead the wastewater and everything, and he absolutely discarded that idea and came up with a bonkers solution of having wastewater underneath the ceiling of the grand salon of the living room, which is a big space, and just have a wastewater pipe running through it to the other side of the house, which I was very reluctant of, because I didn't want lots of wastewater that also needs a certain decline, to actually run freely. So no, I really didn't want that, and that didn't seem he was so persistent on it that I was like, okay, I think I really, really, really just need to tackle this myself. So I started watching YouTube videos. I started watching like lots of stuff. I consulted my dad. He worked in construction, and so that was already really, really helpful. And he already did like a lot of DIYs at my parents' place, but also never wastewater or water piping. I mean, he had seen people do it, but yeah, so ultimately it was a bit like a trial and error there. And but the only way to do it was to do it yourself, because it was just impossible to pay someone, because in the end, it's like if I would have paid someone to do this, it would have cost me a fortune. So let me give you some numbers. I have spent so far, I think, about 15 to 18,000 euros on all of the renovations in the house. So that's basically just material costs, because I didn't have any handyman or anyone coming in. No contractor, nothing. So, and I think just one bathroom would have cost me about 20,000 to realize it, and to turn an empty space into a bathroom, basically, because that's what I did. So yeah, I think I did save about 40,000 euros just on doing things myself. Yes, and there we come to this other point where, yeah, it's just like, it's quite, I understand that it can be quite frustrating, and I've had very frustrating moments, and I've had moments where I really thought like, I can not do this. I literally cannot do this. And when you're alone also, like, it's like you doubt yourself much more, and you get all these feelings boil up, basically, that already are within you, or at least within me, I have to say, because I can only talk about my story. So yeah, I think all these feelings of like not being worth or not being good enough, all these things just like pop up in your head, because you're confronted with it. You're confronted with something that you have never done before, that you just learn and that you put into practice, and you need to be patient with yourself and not listen to everyone. And then additionally, on top of that, you're exposed, because I'm filming everything for YouTube. So, and I don't want to film it like how-tos, because I am not fully educated in these things, It's like I can do like small DIY how-tos, and that's no problem. But like to do like a big DIY how to lay wastewater piping, I wouldn't be comfortable doing it, because I'm not trained in it. But I can show you my ups and downs. I can show you the mistakes I did, and maybe also encourage other people to be like, hey, actually, this dude, he's doing it all by himself, and I think I can manage, And there it goes full circle also on the topic of queer, is I think, and there I go back to the representation of queer people in handy jobs. And I mean, we do have like a huge queer kind of representation in interior design, like as I mentioned already in the episode before, and I think it's episode 2 of 3, the role model episode. So if you haven't listened to that, like, go back, listen to that episode and listen to it, because I went in more detail in there about how I think the whole role model issue is so important in the queer community, and to feel represented, to feel like actually someone is there, you know, and someone actually like represents you and you are being shown, you know. And I think that's what I love about this medium, and that's what I love about podcasting, that's what I love about YouTube. It just gives you a chance to show other people, to be like, hey, you think like society thinks you're queer and you can only do this or only do that, and that is absolutely not true, you know. It's like you can do anything you put your mind to it, you know. You can achieve amazing things. And I think there's also a huge difference between renovating a home by yourself in between cultures. I think, like, for example, I am surrounded by people from the UK here, and it's a totally different culture surrounding DIY, you know. There's much more people actually doing everything themselves in their house, renovating their houses, than I would say already I know from German people, because I think German people are more likely to get contractors. And I think there's a huge cultural difference between this. And I think also just, you know, the willingness to actually like do the jobs, you know, or being curious about it. That's the word I was looking for, you know. And I think if you have the curiosity, if you have the curiosity, then you'll be able to do it, you know, because you'll be researching, you'll be watching videos, you'll be reading about it, and you will get to a point where you can do it. And then it's a matter of trial and error, and not being stuck with anyone who ever said anything, you know. And I know it's hard, and I know that I fall into this pattern. When things go wrong, it's like I just like freeze sometimes, and I'm like, oh, but I'm just this like little gay boy who doesn't know anything and who has two left hands. And I'm like, no, that's not me. It's like that's what society would think of me or wants me to be. Oh, like, I don't know, you know what I mean. But actually, I am very capable of doing it. And yes, it will not be perfect. It will not be like somebody who trained for years and years and years. And I think it's overcoming that frustration, you know. If you're willing to save money, to do things yourself, and to feel that feeling of achievement, which is absolutely priceless, I have to say, at least, then actually the rest doesn't matter so much. It's your home, and what you do of your home needs to be good for you. It needs to be working for you, and it just needs to, you know, be your home. You need to feel good. You need to feel really nice about it. I mean, I have a perfect example here. I really wanted to build furniture for the chateau. So I started like thinking, I'm gonna do like a sort of built-in sideboard kind of thingy where my TV is going to go in the Grand Salon. And I was really eager to do it. I drew up everything, I got the materials, and then I experienced lots of frustration because it was just not working the way I wanted to. The floors are really crooked. It's a really old house, you know. So to already just like get a perfect shape, you know, like just a cube that would stand on the floor and it would actually like not be all crooked, you already had to like do so many adjustments and make so many, like, put in so much more time, and then it would still not look as good as I envisioned it, you know. It took me like a few steps and a few workarounds to find out, you know, where I need to head. And then at the same time, like it was December, my parents were there, and my dad was criticizing me over it, because he was like, oh, it looks ugly and it's no good, you should have left the furniture there that was there. And and this got me really frustrated, because I'm like, I'm really trying, it's like I'm really trying to do something on my own, and I really want this to work, so I will make it work. And I did, in the end. Is it the prettiest sideboard you've ever seen? No. But it's something I made myself, and it looks decent. I mean, you can watch it if you go on my YouTube channel. You can go and watch, I think it's the 4th and final video of the living room makeover, and it's just like, it serves the purpose that I wanted it to serve, that the furniture that was there before didn't. And it looks like somewhat built in without looking too built in, you know what I mean? But it's what I wanted. And yes, my plans changed a lot throughout this process, but I think with home renovations, it's like life, A home renovation is like life, I would say. You have to be open for change. You have to be open that things will not work out the way you want them to work out. No, things will never be the way you want them to be. I mean, look at me. I'm walking through beautiful Charente here in France. It's super windy, and I would love the wind to stop, because it's just really annoying me today. And I really wanted to record this podcast episode while being on a walk. And now I'm just like constantly covering my phone, because I'm worried that it'll be too windy so that I can't use all the things that I recorded now. But, I just got to deal with it. I just got to, accept it. And I think acceptance is a big kind of word here, and it applies to all of life. Some things you just need to accept. And I think one of my friends actually said like a very, very true thing, and she's very much like me. So we work together as a choreographic duo, and we know each other inside out. I mean, like, we've been friends for a long, long time, and we're basically like twins. So she said that in order to have a less stressful life, she's much more willing to adapt than to have like all the stress. And I do see this also like with my parents and with other people as well, that they have a really hard time to adapt, or to just let go, to let go of their set of rules, of their kind of like, little kind of world and view of the world, to just be like, you know what, today it's this, and it's gonna be fine, and I'm accepting it. And it's it's like accepting things that you cannot change, or if you can change them, then change them if you really want to. But I think it's also good to just like sometimes accept and be like, it's fine, to be a chameleon. And I think that's what I'm taking out of life in my 36 years on this planet so far, is being a chameleon, a social and habitual chameleon will get you very far, and will actually make your life less stressful than anything else, because you will be able to adapt, to let go. It's fine if you eat this and this every morning. It's okay if you don't eat it one morning. The world is not going to go up in flames. It's not going to change anything. And I think this gets me to a whole different topic of obsession, which I also would love to talk about. And I think this will be next week's episode, about obsession, and obsession with your body especially, which I experienced a lot, and which I have a lot of things to talk about. So I think that would be an interesting topic for the podcast for next week. So I'm letting you go into your weekend or week like this, and I hope that you could take something out of this and learn to accept and let go of things in order to have an easier life, less stressful. And yes, I'm hoping to have you back next week when we're back from France. And don't forget that I also have free rooms that are available to book. So if you want to come and have a vacation in France, come check out my Airbnb. You'll find all my information, my Instagram, my YouTube, my Airbnb, all the informations about the chateau and the rooms on my website, Demi-Château.com. You will find all the links in the description, in the show notes. And yes, that is LEDEMICHATEAU.com, Demi-Château.com. And I will talk to you next week. Bisous et à bientôt et au revoir from the southwest of France.